Therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I'll liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Matthew 7:24 through 27. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gap Fillers Podcast, episode number 13. My name is Michael Bradford, and let's get started here. Actually, one of the first slow news weeks of the Trump administration. Elections are happening here in in Florida, April 1st. So if you live in Congressional District 1 or Congressional District 6, be sure to go out and vote. The Democrats are pumping millions of dollars into these races because it appears they have a chance, even though the previous election, just a few months ago, was 66-34, pretty much in both races on the Republican side. However, there was an election up in Pennsylvania, Lancaster County, one of the more conservative counties in Pennsylvania. The Democrats were able to flip a seat. Why? Because it is difficult to, when you are perceived winning, to get people to keep fighting. It is hard. This is a common thing that happens with when it comes to like war and stuff like that, where soldiers are perceived that the end of the war is near. To any war, really, especially the longer the conflict is. Like the Civil War happened like this. World War II was happening like this, where on the cusp of victory, some random thing happens, and because people, don't want to die, especially when the end is in sight, they don't want to die. Who wants to be the last person to die in a war? So this is often what happens when you are perceived to win and the battle is over. The battle is never over in a republic. You are always fighting because the entire population is in a fight for their government. So you can never let off. So make sure to go out and vote. Also, the primaries in Florida House District number 19 for the Senate, and House number 32 for the Florida House. So make sure to go out and vote if you are in those counties, or in those districts rather. April 1st, that is Tuesday, coming up here very soon. Democrats think they got a chance. I wish some of the Republicans were stronger, especially Randy Fine is kind of weak. But make sure to go vote. The House is very close, they can't really afford to lose any members right now. There's a constitutional amendment to reform the FWC Commission. Want to get into that, but first, I want to highlight my second local business or an organization. This is one that was referred to me from a family member. Sutton Farms. They're a dairy farm down in Okeechobee. Great milk, awesome milk. Their chocolate milk is amazing. Here in Orlando, there's not really a location to get them. Closest place is Mick Farms. That's a farmers market in St. Cloud, or in Kenansville, the gas station in Kenansville. Both serve it. Some really awesome chocolate milk. So if you want to get a treat if you're on a road trip or something, especially down south Florida. They're all on the coast there, from Boca Raton to Fort Pierce area. and of course Okeechobee. So if you want to actually visit the farm, they're in Okeechobee. But some really good business, some a good quality product. So that is Sutton Farms. And again, no advertising. It's not revenue. It's just a Florida product I want to highlight. If you want to support a local business or a Florida business, I really think this is how we build a culture in Florida. There's not really a big cultural, manufacturing base outside of, the orange industry is gone. So outside of Disney, what is Florida known for? Nothing now. So there needs to be a cultural base for manufacturing and or agriculture of some kind. Production. Services only get you so far. Production is really where at a cultural base. It puts pride in somebody's work or honor. And so, all right, so let's get started with the constitutional amendment that is proposed. It's House Joint Resolution number 1625. So this is currently making its way through the different subcommittees and all that. The biggest problem I have with this is that it's kind of somebody that I don't like who has put it out. Escamani, she's the lady running for mayor of Orlando here. I really object to pretty much everything this woman does, except for pretty much this. All right, so it will change the members of the commission, the Fish Wildlife Commission, from 7 to 9 members, and it would kind of divvy up the responsibility of electing or appointing these commissioners. So for those of you who haven't been tuning in or aren't aware, pretty much every single wildlife commissioner right now is appointed by DeSantis, and they are all developers. So they're basically controlling the land that they controlling the regulations that they're looking to develop. And this is a no good situation. Not that I'm a big government conservationist. However, if you have federal land and you're helping people develop it, it becomes cronyism. And I'd much rather see these in the hands of a nonprofit, kind of a land trust. But this is the cards we have been dealt. So basically, it will divvy up the member nominations. Still have to be confirmed by the Senate, but they'll be staggered. And the members. This is a direct quote from the wording of the resolution. The Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services shall appoint 2 members, and their 2 members have to be a rancher, a farmer who owns or manages a Florida ranch or farm on which 2 of the species for which game is hunted or is licensed. All right, so that would be like there's a few in East Orange that are like that, where the farmer operates the federal the FWC the WMA, the Wildlife Management Area, and they herd cattle on it, but they're in charge of the organization on that property. However, it's like a joint management system. Some of it follows under the St. John's Water Management District. However, these ranchers basically, the state wants to have a certain amount of control over the water rights, make sure that water isn't getting polluted into the St. John's, and make sure that water is being properly managed on the ranch, close right on the St. John's. And so they basically bought the land from the farm and from the rancher, and the rancher leases it back for like $1 a year or something like that. This helps the rancher because he doesn't have to pay property taxes and stuff like that, and still is able to use the land. However, this could be a form of cronyism, especially if it allows the rancher to outcompete other ranchers, and because he doesn't have to have the land. Anyways, so that was A. So if he has one game, two species of animals in which game is hunted, all right. A farmer who owns or manages a Florida farm on which at least one crop has been grown. So basically, farmers. All right, so that's A and B. Number 2, all right, so those two of the members have to be appointed by the Department of Agriculture. Number 2, the Department of Environmental Protection shall appoint 2 members. It has to be a hunter or angler who has held a Florida hunting or fishing license each of the previous 4 years, so a 4-year consecutive term. I wonder if that means they actually have to hunt or they have to just hold the license. Because that can get tricky. That could be pretty much anybody. A conservationist who, for the previous 4 years, has been an employee, member of a board, or a member of an established advisory committee of a nonprofit habitat or wildlife conservation organization. All right, so the environmental protection department has to have basically has to have those 2. And then the third, the Department of Air and Water Pollution Control shall appoint a scientist who is not currently an elected official who holds at least a doctoral degree from an accredited college, university in environmental science, wildlife biology, conservation biology, fisheries science or management, and wildlife science or management. Or a comparable wildlife field. This is one of the biggest ones because none of the board members currently have a background in wildlife biology, so they get to make all the rules. I take that back. I believe one does, but her family is also in development, so go figure. All right, and then the governor shall appoint 4 members. So basically, he's still the governor. Whoever the future governor will be, is now still appointing 4 officials. However, it has to be a local official representing an urban county with a population over 250,000. A local official representing a rural county with a population under 250,000. A scientist who is not currently an elected official. All right, we just covered same one as the one above. Scientist who is not currently an elected official, who has a doctoral degree. Okay, so C and D are fairly the same, but this is forestry and forestry management. That's the difference. Agricultural, social, and then soil science for the second one, or animal husbandry, and then a person who has contributed or whose spouse has contributed a major donation to any political party may not be appointed to this commission. So that is a huge deal. This should pretty much be all around the board for any government official. If you are it's direct corruption. If somebody donates to some another organization and thereby gets the position. Maybe if this was an unpaid position, maybe that would be some way around it. Because it would be hard to say, if it was like a cabinet member for the president. It would hard to say this person couldn't have donated to a political party, because they're often political members, especially Senate and House and current places like that. So, and then those are the adjustments to the state constitution that is being proposed right now. I for the most part support this. There are a couple of tweaks I would like to see, especially with the donations. It would have to be there because of the way law works. It needs to be specific. So the major basically they couldn't donate over $1,000, but there's no time limit on that. So is that a year? Is that 2 years? Is that ever? So because the way the law works, especially nowadays, you need to be as specific as possible in order to get not be caught up in semantics. And ironically, that leads to semantics. So then the rest of the bill outlines what the FWC's jurisdictions are and stuff. So that is House Joint Resolution 1625. I definitely support this. This is one of the things I've been pushing for is to restrict the developers that have been basically infecting the government. Like I said before, I am not one to be a big government guy. However, this is the exact, people like to attack capitalism all the way down the line and accuse governments of being that corrupt, which they are. But that's not capitalism. They associate the two being the same, and they're not. And that's where any form of government without morality is dead. And so if not for anything else, but for appearance sake, you need to have plausible deniability on things like this. So you don't want to even, for appearance's sake, you don't want it to look like, oh, I'm a developer who really cares about the environment. Don't hold that position. It's like a pastor having a Mercedes. Is it immoral for a pastor to have a Mercedes? Maybe not. It depends on how he got it. But it shows where their heart is, and it shows where there's even a inkling of corruption there. And that pastors are accused of that all the time, especially like Joel Osteen, which frankly he is. He's if he claims he gets the money from book deals and stuff, but that's not what everybody else sees. If for anything else, it's covered in Paul covers this a lot. He could have all the money in the world, he could have a lot of money, but that would not advance the cause of Christ. So if you want to advance the cause of good government, don't be able to be accused of this stuff. This is kind of a similar idea of the first scandal, so to speak, of the Trump administration with the test messages to the Atlantic editor. I have no idea how the Atlantic editor was the one that got chosen to be that guy that ended up on that. But the problem is that you need to take every little precaution, especially when they're out to get you. If the media was for you, you could, the media would have swept it way under the rug, and nobody would have ever known if it was Biden or Obama or if he, whoever. So if DeSantis is a good governor, he really is, but there are a few things that make him look bad, and frankly are bad. There, no policy I'm going to agree with 100%. And the FWC looking at putting hotels and golf courses on public land that is meant to be preserved wildlife areas. So for deer and gator and the Florida panther and local grasses and stuff like that, hunting, fishing, whatever, waterways, especially golf courses, they have so much pollution runoff with phosphates. The fertilizer that is required on a golf course is nuts. People get cancer from putting golf tees in their mouth because there's so much phosphate in the ground in the ground from that. So if your aim is to protect the waterways, you don't put golf courses anywhere near them. So anyways, so that's that. Especially with Escamni, I just want to watch out with that. I wonder what her angle is. But overall, this is a good thing. It's, again, I said it's a slow news week, so this is going to be a short podcast. But I thank you all for listening. If you would like to support me or support the podcast rather, and tune in for more local news and politics, you can follow me on Facebook. It's the Gap Fillers Podcast. Follow me on X at GapFillers1776. I have a YouTube channel. That's where I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start posting that on my Facebook page or on my social media pages instead of the Spotify, just because the Spotify seems to be hurting a lot of there's a lot of people struggling with the Spotify, where YouTube is more streamlined. So I might just go with that one. Again, I appreciate y'all for joining me, and have a good week.